So we're going to do something a little bit different. We'll see where this goes. Mynoo has been so generous to do transmissions for us from time to time. And we had a gathering at my home a few, I guess, wow, it was several months ago now. And she did a transmission for each person that had attended this event that we were all participating in. So I've asked her to do that for us at the end instead of a process. So we usually end with like a meditation or one of her incredible processes that she takes us through. And this time we thought, well, let's just do something new. Let's do a virtual transmission. So if anyone is interested in that, we'll probably only be able to do about 4 or 5 people. But if you are in and you would like Mynoo to do a little reading on you with regards to what Spirit has to say, please go ahead and put that in the chat box now so that we can plan accordingly. And we will try to get around to all of those who we can, and we'll see how that goes. So welcome, everyone. Terry, oh, Terry's here. So many people I haven't seen in such a long time. Welcome, Terry. All right, so I want to introduce Mynoo to those of you. We still have quite a few people coming on, so we're just going to go ahead and get started. And yeah, we will do this new little surprise at the end, which Mynoo will select, guidance will select for her. 4 or 5 people, and she'll be doing a personal transmission for you at the end of the call instead of doing a process. So for those of you who are not familiar with Mynoo, I met Mynoo about 10 years ago, and I met her in Bali, and it was I would say it was a random situation, but nothing's really random. You know, synchronicity is so fascinating when we look back on it. And I, you know, have just really enjoyed having Mynoo as a friend and a mentor over these past many years, where I developed a business, I shut businesses down, I sold businesses, and I've always had Mynoo there to guide me, and it's been such a wonderful experience. And, you know, she is really about manifesting miracles in your own life where they become the norm. So I'm very excited to get to share Mynoo and her work with you. For those of you who have not met Mynoo, you will tonight. And we do these calls every Thursday. So feel free to register in the registration. You do want to register, and the reason is we usually have a replay of the prior call. So if you miss a call, still register. You don't have to come to the call, but you'll get a replay. So that's a really great thing to have in your back pocket. And maybe you even want to share some of this work with your friends. So we love that. So again, if you're just joining us now, feel free to put in the chat box if you would like to be selected as someone who wants to have a transmission by Mynoo at the end of this call. So we'll be doing that instead of a process. Okay, welcome everyone. So without further ado, my beautiful friend and mentor, Mynoo Maryel, who has been teaching about manifesting for my whole life and miracles, who is not only a spiritual guru, but she is definitely a business entrepreneur, and she was a movie producer, amongst other things. So we are going to be so fortunate to have Mynoo share her beautiful wisdom today with us. So I'd like to just turn it over to Mynoo so we can get started.
Thank you, Catherine, and welcome everyone, and especially those who are joining in from Europe. It's the middle of the night there. So thank you for being here with us. Great to see many of you again. Wonderful to reconnect again, Linda, and many others that are here. So this session, I might have my eyes closed for some of it, so just don't get disconcerted if that is what occurs. The key thing that we are focusing on is really the next chapter, the next step, you know. And last time I shared certain elements of the unknown, certain elements of the new norm. And there were 3 things that I shared last time. The first was that, you know, the unknown is what is known. Uncertainty is certain. Change is constant. Those 3 things are like foundational in terms of the new norm. There are many other facets that are to do with the specifics of certain systems and structures that we are used to. And there will be more that will be coming through to share in the context of what the new norm is. Certainty today I'm going to relate it to the three foundational pieces, which is the unknown is the known, uncertainty is certain, and change is constant. So we talk about this as a journey into the 7 C's. Last week we began the journey into the first C, which was choice. And my invitation to each one of you was, you're a journeyer. You've begun your journey, your voyage into the 7 C's. Go implement your journey into choice. Today we are talking about certainty. So the journey into certainty. So there are few pieces that are worth us knowing, given that uncertainty is certain. So, rather than focusing on everything that is uncertain, the first piece that we can all take on is really acknowledging everything that seems uncertain to us. I quite like in these times to use a journal and use my hand to write. And it performs a particular function. There is an acupressure piece that comes in when you connect your forefinger and the thumb, and there is a pressure there. It actually brings about a meditative concentration, which actually akins to stillness within us. So when you write and you start listing everything that you believe is uncertain, and you're using your fingers, your hand to write, there is a stillness that starts to occur. But then as you write and you make your list of everything that is uncertain, the first thing to actually then look at is, okay, given that all of this is uncertain, what is certain? What can I actually count on that is here? The journey into certainty is a journey of us really connecting to what is. And only what is certain. Everything else is something that we've made up. So when I say only what is certain, then how do you recognize what is? You use all aspects of you. You use all your senses. You start looking at, what am I seeing here? Now, if you're focusing on what is, you're actually going to focus on what is visible to you through your eyes, which is right there in front of you. So what am I seeing here? What am I hearing? And then you go into the feeling part. What am I feeling? And you literally start, you have a list of what's uncertain. You now start engaging and listing out what is certain, without giving any meaning to it. This is just a pure observation. So the fact that, you are making that analysis and you're actually writing it down, that's certain. You're writing it down. You're here. You're breathing. All your senses are working. In the journey into certainty, the more we get clear about everything that feels uncertain, that takes us out of our comfort zone, the more we get clear and acknowledge that there is stuff that is doing that, the faster we get to a clarity of what is certain. And what that leads to is an understanding that everything coexists. So where there is uncertainty, there is sufficient things that are certain. Now, when you look at what is uncertain and what is certain. You may say that it rides in homelessness is uncertain, and that's a fact. But if you say, unrest amongst the homelessness, well, that's not necessarily certain, because that's a meaning you've given to it. That's uncertain. Now, you may have read about it, you may have heard about it. It starts to, the journey into certainty as a part of the new norm is a journey that really gets you to start deciphering at a level of nuance what is going on. The intention of journeying into certainty is for you to get it, to literally start connecting to the power that you are and coming at it from a space of balance. So when you can, and that's why my suggestion of writing, even when, if those of you who do yoga and stuff, there's a particular Eastern philosophy that they call as mudras, which is basically how you hold your fingers. And usually in meditation, they ask you to hold your fingers this way. And it's really just to activate that deep concentration. But really, it's in the context of what I'm talking about, in the context of certainty, I'm saying it brings you into a state of stillness. So when you have your list of uncertainty and you look at what is certain, now we go to the next piece. You start looking at, in what you have listed as certain, how is that all making you feel? Now, the key thing when you're journeying the 7 seeds, and this is a part of the new norm, it is time for coexistence. It's no accident that the sea is what has been shown to me as a way of, really getting into the new norm. It is about understanding and recognizing what's real in terms of certainty in the context of what's good, what's bad, what's ugly, and what's beautiful. You will be surprised, and I've done this exercise several times over. You will be surprised at how much of the ugly and the bad pieces that we write are meaning that we've given. They aren't even real. Another facet of journeying into the second C of the 7 Cs, which is certainty, is for you to literally start recognizing yourself, in your worthiness, recognizing yourself as the one that actually does have the answers. The one that can be the one that can drive you to a place where you feel uplifted. And I'm sharing this journey into certainty in a way of a series of processes, because a part of journeying into the certainty element is getting your mind fully engaged and connected to your heart. Your heart, whether you like it or not, is engaged. Connecting your mind and your heart to your gut. And your gut also, whether you like it or not, is fully engaged. There's some questions that we have about the gut. So why is that important to have the mind connect to the heart and for the heart and the mind together to connect to the gut? It's that sequence. Even though it begins the other way around, when you're journeying into certainty, you address the mind first, right? So the mind is operating, it's a meaning-making machine. And it's a meaning-making machine because it is operating from its own understanding of the past and its own imagination of the future. And it does that because the mind, the intention of the mind is about survival. And so it's literally performing what it's here to perform. So you begin with the mind. If the mind isn't still, going down to the heart and the gut actually creates even more restlessness. So the mind begins by first getting into everything that's uncertain, and then you, in that uncertainty, looking at what is certain. It is not a correlation in your list. You know, you literally are like doing a brain dump here. You know, the fact that you smile and you feel your smile, you feel your eyes sparkle. You know, the sound of the chirping birds outside, certain. The sunset, sunrise, rainbows. Deeper connection that you have when you're talking to people on the phone. And evidence that we are present to, you know, every day, you know, in terms of how nature is rising. So, you know, you're really getting your mind engaged. Your mind is now, when you go into what's uncertain, the mind's engaged with the past and its own projection of that into the future. Whilst you are operating from past and future, you're actually in a realm of something that is not real. Because the past doesn't exist and the future isn't here yet. But once you acknowledge both of those, you know, the mind's at rest. And you're now working with the mind and bringing it into now. By acknowledging and noticing what is certain. And you know, you don't have to get philosophical about it. Just get real. You know, it could be the clothes you're wearing, you know, and the comfort you're feeling in it or discomfort you're feeling in it. Whatever it is, literally just the idea here is getting the mind into a space of being in the now. So it's not oscillating. Once you've got the mind engaged, then you go into the heart, because when you've connected with what is certain, your heart is now here. Heart only operates in the now. It does not have a past or a future. It's in the now. Can you imagine if a heart had to pause to interpret the past and think about the future? We'll all be dead. It's in the now. Now, by the time you get to the heart, doing this uncertainty certain piece, you're already in a space of stillness. And your heart can now focus on the now. And you know, the magic of the now is, it literally is like, the now is the moment. And the now is moving out very fast to be replaced with a new now. Right? So it gets a paciness into you. As you start noticing, what's now, what's now, what's now, you literally start noticing what is present that is actually making your heart really, you know, I call it making your heart sing. And that's what I call as a miracle. This next aspect of journeying into the 7 seas and journeying into the sea of certainty is literally activating your own miracle lens. And you literally start using that miracle lens to zoom in on what's making my heart sing. I've made a list of all of these things that are certain. You know, what's making my heart sing right now? It's beating. That is the song of the heart. Now, that is the way to get your heart engaged. Your mind's already got into a space of stillness. Your heart is now zooming in to what's real that is making your heart sing. And it could be thoughts, it could be beliefs, it could be connections, it could be imaginations, it could be vision. When you really look at, well, what's here that is making my heart sing, you start to acknowledge for yourself that all of these things that you are actually listing are real. They They are in your presence. Some of them may be in your imagination, but the fact that you're imagining or envisioning is making your heart sing. That's real. The fact that you can do that is also making your heart sing. And you start getting to a space very quickly, in a few moments. You start getting to a space where you start becoming present to how rich and abundant life is. In a realm where uncertainty is certain, unknown is the known, change is constant, it is so easy to get sucked into all of the stuff that's around us that is making things more uncertain. And hence, certainty being the second C that you are going to journey into. By zooming in and looking at, despite whatever else is going on around us, it could be unrest, it could be people starving, it could be, the number of cases growing, looks like it might be going out of hand. Whatever it might feel like, all of those go in the uncertain column. The fact that you're here, you're writing this, you're reading it, and now you're applying your miracle lens to looking at what's here right now that is making my heart sing. It gives a focus. I'm not asking you to do positive thinking here. Because, if you engage with, it has an impact of your thoughts becoming positive. But I am not asking you to force yourself to do positive thinking. I'm saying, enjoy the consequence of rising into a space of feeling positive by zooming into what is real right now. Know that you have your miracle lens. You were born with it, and it will only go at the time that you take your last breath. And between that time, your heart is beating. It is plugged into the now. It does not get cluttered by anything. The heart doesn't become sad, it's the mind does. Heart gives no meaning to anything. It's actually very pure and clear. Everyone's heart is pure, however evil you may think they are, everyone's heart, because it operates in the now, is actually just pure. It's a direct connection that we have to source that is operating in a very functional way in the third dimensional reality. So when you go into that space, you've now engaged with what's certain, despite all of these uncertainties. You've used your miracle lens, and that's already shown you many things that are present. It could be the texture of your skin, by the way. It could be just how, the makeup that you put in. It could be how your hair feels. It could be how comfortable you are seated on your chair. It could be just the temperature that you're surrounded with. Whatever it is, just bring it closer to home, which is closer to you, closer to you, closer to you. And that's how you use the miracle lens. Your heart is now engaged. And now it's time to go deeper and tap into your inner wisdom, which is held in your gut. Your gut is the custodian of the wisdom that your soul has amassed through its many, many lifetimes. And now you start tapping into your gut. Now, tapping into your gut, this is not just your mind. Your mind is already in a space of stillness. Your heart is now engaged. So mind and the heart together tap into what's there for me to know. And you can even now, you're in a very good space to even ask the question, what's mine to do? You can even ask the question, something that might be unanswerable. Why is this occurring? And initially, you'll probably just get a word or two, or you may not get anything at all, but you'll feel that connection. And it doesn't take more than 2 to 3 days to actually start receiving your own inner wisdom. And when you receive your own inner wisdom in this way, in the past, we've all had gut instinct, but we've not necessarily even relied on it. We've not necessarily even acknowledged it. That time when you get that first hit on something, that's a gut instinct. And we, often push, when many a time we brush it away or feel that, no, that's not the way to do it. That's because the mind wasn't in a state of stillness. Your heart was not connected to the mind, and your gut was popping out its wisdom by itself. So it was like whether you took it on or you didn't take it on. And if you did take it on, it would be very easy for some external impulse to destabilize you. Doing it in this way, where acknowledge what's uncertain, and in that space, notice what's certain. Go into your heart. Connect to what's here right now that is making this heart sing. It's beating away. Your heart is singing. And then you go into, okay, so what's there for me to know about this? What am I to learn from this? Is there something for me to do? Who is the right person to connect on this? Whatever question you may have, whatever unanswered questions you may have, you can just tap into your gut. Now, you've done this once, literally. These 3 beings that are there in us. See, everything in my world, everything is a vibration. This is the other piece to know about the new norm, which is that everything is a vibration. And there is going to be, and there already is, a surge of humans across the planet that are going to start getting very connected to the fact that it is a vibration. As they start looking and diving into how certain things that was going to take multiple generations to correct themselves, purification of the air, purification of water, resurgence of certain extinct species and new species being birthed, like everything's being fast-tracked. As people start going into it, they will start recognizing there is something to do with vibrations. It is spreading. So for me, everything, when there is a vibration, every cell, every nanocell is whole and complete in itself. It is vibrating. So one of the pieces, this is another piece of the new norm. And this occurs when you will experience it when you connect your mind, your heart, and your gut in the way that I'm talking about it. You will start to see that at a cellular level, each cell is whole and complete. Because that is, we work very hard, super engaging with our mind and separating the past and the future, disconnecting from the moment to bring about that incompleteness within us. And yet, when you go in at a cellular level, every cell is whole and complete. And we are made up of God knows how many cells. At least several hundreds of trillions of cells that we are made up of. So you can imagine, as you start to connect in this way, a journeying into the sea of certainty is a journey into a cellular awareness. A cellular awareness, and initially I just say to you, just take it for this, just use it because you want to get into that cellular awareness. There's no harm. Just think that, okay, every cell is whole and complete in itself. I allow that to occur. Another very important aspect of journeying into certainty is allowance. Just allow certain things to occur until, and it only takes sometimes only a few moments or a few minutes at most. And you realize that wave of whole and completeness literally starts to take over you. It's much faster when you go when you follow these steps where, okay, this is what is certain amidst all of this uncertainty. This is what is making my heart sing. You're already in that space, plugged into the moment. And in the moment, as you stay in the moment for a few heartbeats, literally your cells start to resound and share their own experience of, what's there that's making your heart sing, and that cellular awareness starts to rise. And what happens, the first impact that you experience when cellular awareness rises is you start getting it, you start experiencing abundance. As you turn the volume up on noticing what's there that's making your heart sing, you start turning the volume up on the presence of abundance. Because in those moments, so many things you found that are making your heart sing. Little things, big things, mediocre things, stupendous things, splendid things. And you found so many things that were certain. And all of this is occurring because cellular awareness is rising. And the cellular awareness is an indication that the cells are reconnecting to the whole and completeness that they already possess. So from a physical point of view, if you hurt yourself, you've got a cut on your leg, or you've been knocked, it takes you out of balance. As the cells start to return to that awareness of being whole and complete, balance returns. Harmony starts to become a norm. And you've already now developed your own skill of tapping into your gut instinct. There is so much more that I can talk about when it comes to literally journeying into the sea of certainty. But if you just did what I've just shared and just did it diligently, you may decide that today I'm just going to focus on looking at what's uncertain and finding in that uncertainty what's certain. And tomorrow you take your miracle lens out. Reconnect to what you had there as certain, add whatever else you want to, and plug into what's the miracle lens showing me? What's making my heart sing right now? Your mind, your heart is connected. You're in stillness. And from day 3 onwards, you can actually start tapping into your gut. What am I being shown? What about this? Start asking your own questions and receiving your own answers. Now, you've heard me say, those of you who were there in Navigating the Unknown, you've heard me say, one of the key ways of navigating the unknown is to get real and unconditionally accept what is. Now, when you've done this process and you found so many things that are certain amidst all of this uncertainty, and you found so many things that are making your heart sing, and your gut is starting to communicate, well, it's so easy to unconditionally accept what is. It's like you're connecting your dots, and you're connecting the dots in a way that engages your mind, honors the heart, and literally taps into your own inner wisdom. When I do my talks, people sometimes refer to me like as a guru, as a spiritual guru. And my whole thing is, at best, I can be your guide to support you to meet the guru that is the best for you. And that is you. Because you're the one that is born with all the wisdom from all of your life's journeys in the past. You have everything with you. You have all the mechanics as well in place. It's just a matter of making that connection and following it a sequence that allows us to operate in the third dimension, reality. Everything that I have shared here, if you combine that with what we talked about as you were journeying into the sea of choice, combined with the journey into the sea of certainty, you are prepared, ready to literally take off and fly into the new norm. So having shared all of that, take it on, do it in your own way, follow your own rhythm, and also be aware when you come into a session that I'm doing, I communicate in English. I communicate in a way that most of the things I'm saying are relatable. My communication is cellular. I am totally plugged into this understanding that every cell is whole and complete. The piece that gets us out of or gets us destabilized in times of uncertainty and times of unknown and stuff is when we feel that we are not whole and complete. And that feeling of not feeling whole and complete, your heart never feels that. It's just there, performing its function. It's only your mind that goes into that space. And, the mind is incomplete because all it's saying is, I am incomplete, connect me. To my two other comrades, we are the three musketeers here. The three beings that are within you already. So the mind is not complete because it is not complete by itself. And that's all it's saying. And then we just use the mind to give all sorts of meaning and it multiplies. And then we get disconnected from our own beingness. The physical form is a very small presence of us. That's all that's playing out. And the exciting thing is, if you just take it, what if it was true? This is another piece to take on, right? In this whole space of journeying into the seven seas, I use what if all the time. Well, what if it was true that every cell was whole and complete? And I have these gazillion cells that make me up, and I have so many nanocells. My God, I have such a richness of whole and completeness in me. So what if that was true? I just think it a lot and keep thinking it, and it's become a belief. That is all that a belief is. So what if you take that on for yourself? And it's powerful to experience this experience. So between now and the next Thursday that we get together, journey into the sea of certainty. I've given you some practical ways, and then allow your imagination to rise. Doing it in this way by engaging your mind, and at every stage, acknowledge whatever is showing up as uncertain, and you will find an ample number of things that are certain at the same time. And that allows it, write it. Remember the acupressure piece that I'm talking about? Now you know why it's a good idea to write your journal, not just type it. And all of you starts to get activated. as awareness rises in your cells, they remember, recollect their whole and completeness. You start getting into the space of what that experience is. And your miracle lens starts to show you what it feels like being whole and complete. So thank you for showing up and receiving this wisdom. And now I'm open to questions. Over to you, Catherine.
Thank you so much, Mynoo. What great exercises we have for the next week before we come back together. And I love the practicality of it all. It's one thing to think about intuition being out there, but thank you for bringing it home.